It's agile, it's self-organization. Be self-organized. We're just trying as organizers to guide you through the process, but you have to self-organize all the rest yourselves. Okay, so I'll start, and my topic was how to start Agile in organization, and I will share you with my tips, basically what I learned, and what would be my advice is if you want to really start tomorrow, go back to your company and start using Agile. So going a bit out of this kind of fluffy, nice words, but getting some concrete actions. Very short about me. I got introduced to Agile when I was working in Sweden in a company called Lavasoft. We introduced Scrum there. And 2 years ago, I came back to Lithuania, started working in Adform. And now I'm working there as product manager and Scrum coach. I'll talk about Adform just in a minute. Meanwhile, I'm kind of a bit active from student life still and want to start people discussing Agile ideas, because my own point of view is that I learn only when we discuss. It's not that some crazy guru stands and tells you how to do it. I don't believe in that. Of course, they share their knowledge, but the most learning happens when we share it ourselves. So that's why we are organizing these conferences and Agile groups, and I encourage you to join. And of course, I try to share what I can on social networks so you can find me there. One slide about company I work for. It's Adform, and these are the facts. You can read themselves, but what we do exactly what that guy does. So this is what our 100 people do. It's just the difference that we are doing it in software. So we are software as a service. Media agencies comes to us and plan their internet campaigns. So if this would be a banner, so we put someone's banners on the websites where you see them, we track them, we measure, we optimize them. There is 100 servers behind all this, making all this happen. So we are ad serving company helping to run internet advertising campaigns. What's interesting is that more than 60 developers are working on this, and all of them are sitting here in Vilnius in Lithuania. So it's quite a huge product, as you can see. We don't have small products. This is one product we develop. So we have quite big issues, how to make 60 people, 9 cross-functional teams to work together on one platform and one product. Yeah. I was doing a presentation in Lithuanian Agile Day, and my last slide was this, which advice how to start Agile in an organization. And I told you that you should first split organization to teams, then you should split your product or list your projects, or order them according to business value. Then you split the time and implement that business value piece by piece incrementally over the time. And of course, you optimize the process all the way. And for me, it seemed like quite simple, but then I had a few companies invited me to run trainings for them, to explain it a bit in more detail. And I realized that those 3 first steps are not that simple and that easy. So my goal today is to share what I think about these first 3 steps. So what we discuss, we'll start talking why we need teams, and maybe we kind of lie to ourselves when in IT companies we call people teams, maybe they're not teams. And then if we agree on that, we will go how to organize them, how to organize projects. And the last one, which is kind of the header in Lithuanian companies. We are doing urgent stuff, we're doing maintenance support or whatever names you can come up with this, but basically everything is unplanned. So, and Agile cannot work here. So just a few words how to fit all your support work into Agile flow. So let's start. Why teams? Why do we need teams? Anyone has seen this TV series? Who? Few people. Good. What is it about? It's about a company that sells paper, about the office. And very interesting boss who is very funny. It's comedy, of course. So there is strange thing happen that they try to sell paper. There is lots of relations happening, love, and all other stuff. Anyone has seen this TV series? Raise your hands, who has? Oh, much more. Yeah, this was, I don't know if it's a comedy, maybe. But basically, they're saving the world. You know, they're going through missions and finishing them, and world peace is there after they leave the place. So I have a question. Which group do you think gets better results? They are doing very different things, but if you just compare them, any thoughts? what client wants in the end. This company wants to sell paper, so basically, are they the best ever selling paper company? And these guys are doing some missions, so are they completing all the missions successfully? Any suggestions, ideas? A-team is better. It's just because of the name? No, actually. We'll get back in a short to this. This picture I borrowed from Victoria's presentation. She did it in Lithuanian Agile Day, but basically I wanted to show how I think and the projects I saw mostly are staffed. We have a project manager who, oh, there is a project, let's do a project plan. You make a project plan and then you have a resource pool and you say, okay, for the beginning we need some designers, so we pick that guy. Then we need GUI developer, then we need the developer, and then we need to join testers. So, and then we pick these people and we call them a project team. Seems familiar? Who is doing like that? I was doing. All the rest are lying or a bit lazy. Which one? That's the normal process. That's how we used to do, yeah? So we pick people and we call them the team. So which ones do you think they would become more alike to? Tough question. Are they becoming a team or are they becoming this office team that does the other stuff? Office, why? But we want a team. You said it's better. They're doing get better results. Why are we doing wrong? Or maybe it's not wrong. Okay, let's see. Because I call them just group of people. They don't have a common purpose. If you look at this TV show, you know that this guy just wants to be the best ever manager, although he doesn't know how to be one, so that's why all the fun stuff happens. This guy on the left wants to, I don't know where is he wants to be the manager, so he always tries to become one. This guy doesn't care, he just sells and goes home. I mean, paper company, I don't care, I just do my job and go home. And this guy's internet just wants to kind of do all other stuff and get rich and has his own projects, whatever he can do just during the work to make himself rich. So they basically don't have common purpose and they are just a group of people. While this team is a team, they have a common purpose. They do completely different things, but they want to get this mission done. Yeah? So when we look, oh, it's just an ad, I didn't know that this will come. Okay, this is Wikipedia what the team is. Team comprises a group of people or animals in a common purpose. So if you have 5 animals doing something for a purpose, they're a team, and if you have people, it's the same. So we need to have a common purpose to call people a team. Moreover, if we look at some theories how teams actually grow, I took Bruce Strickland's theory, which is one of the most well-known. I don't know if in IT software, but if you talk with any HR department guy, I bet they will tell you this, that first, when you get people together, they go through these 4 stages. They start forming, learning, who are you, what's your name, what are you doing, why are you late yesterday? Then they get to storming phase. I want to be a boss, now I want to do this, and they kind of fight a bit. After that, they realize, okay, he's much better in leading, I'm much better in doing design, I'm much better doing in this part, so trying to kind of see who is better where, and to get a team who's really performing that. So what I want to say, it takes time to build a performing team. And if you read even more deeply, it says if you just take one person out or into this group of people, you get immediately here. You start from scratch again. Okay, maybe you go faster, but you start from here again. You have to form, norm, storm to get a performing team. So again, if we look at our standard project staffing process, which we call project team, I kind of don't see that they're a team. I think they're just a group of people that kind of always gets through forming, storming, forming, storming. We never get them to the performing stage. We can look at the example in my team in Adform. We wanted to introduce Scrum, so we started a pilot team. We said, let's put 7 people together, there will be a team, and for 2 months we were trying out Scrum to see if it works. Of course, we have 50 people, we don't want to break Adform because this is new Scrum stuff. And it worked well, actually. In these 2 months, they went through these forming stages. So when we decided to go full Scrum, when all other 6 teams at that point joined, this team was already a performing team. And they were example for everyone. They know this, they do test-driven first, they come up with better ideas. They were kind of always example team. And you would think it's good, it should be like that. Sadly, I'm not sure if anyone from that team is here. I think that from January to now, they are not performing team. At least as much as they could. They're doing the job. They're not just watching Facebook movies or whatever, feeding cows on Facebook. They're doing the work, but I think they could do much more. And why? This is what happened for this team. We had at the beginning of the year, we had yearly evaluations, so two people decided, I want now to work on another part of the system, so they moved. One person joined. Then after a couple of months, management realized, oh, we don't need enough velocity, we need more speed, so we hired 2 more developers to the team. Then one was not that good, so he left the company. And then we hired 2 more people. And this is in so many changes in basically more than half a year now. So it's not their fault that they are not performing. It's we as managers made them change all the time and be informing, storming. And now, actually, it's around 2 months then where they were working together. And that's why I, from my side as product owner, see that they are getting as a performing team. They really start working together and getting results. So in my opinion, it takes around 2 months to build a team. And actually, then I thought a bit more about it, looking into my history in Lavasoft, in Student Union, we are doing lots of projects. And I kind of concluded to myself, that's true, that's how it works. So if you don't have a stable team for 2 months, basically, you're screwed. You're always I-forming and norming, and you don't get enough results. So my suggestion is stop lying to yourselves. If you have a project team that you form for each project and pick people, take in and out during the project time, call them a group of people. There's a project group. It's not project team. Or at least don't hope that they will be very much performing team. So maybe I'm a lone one. Maybe I'm the one who just thinks that way. And this is a discussion was going on Lithuanian IT community on LinkedIn. And this is quote from Laimonas from Ashburn International. I didn't ask him to if I'm allowed to, but as it's online, so everyone can see it anyway. And I translated myself. It says that after implementing Scrum, employees started sharing knowledge and seek for common goal together. They care for mistakes and not fulfillment commitments together. It meant just putting people together and having a stable team, not picking them for each project and giving a task, did this. So it's not only me. Laimonas tells us the same, and I bet you can find much more evidence. So my first conclusion, if we want A teams in software development, we need to have permanent teams, because they are most effective. Anyone disagrees? Anyone agrees? Should I come up with another joke now? Okay, at least some smiles. So that was my theoretical part. I hope now I convinced we need permanent teams. The question is how to work with them. You know, we've been doing different way all the time, so how to do this, how to organize them. And when I go again to some companies where they ask how to start Agile, I see normal standard stuff. We have departments. There was already reference to silos. You can have different names, but it's departments. Maybe it's not these. Maybe there is development and testing. Maybe there is some SQL developers, .NET developers, whatever. There is always departments if you go to any bigger company. So the thing that if we want to start Agile, the first thing is to break departments and to create cross-functional teams. Because in Agile, as we discussed, this was already told, we want customer-centric features to start developing and finish them in that small iteration. So at the end, it's shippable product increment. And if we have only developers in the team, of course, it won't happen. Who will write documentation? Who will do the analysis part? Who will test it? So the point is to break these departments completely and put them as a cross-functional team. Again, my advice, simple advice for companies, don't start rewriting all your these procedures and redraw the charts. Chart can stay the same. There can be organizational structure, which are departments, for the beginning, for at least half a year until you try out things. But teams should work and organize the work in cross-functional teams. So how to split? There is 2 options if you read and go to conferences. They say it's 2 options. First and best one, to have feature teams. That when we compile a team, cross-functional team, it can implement feature from the beginning to the end. It took feature 1 from the client and finished it. Feature 2, finished it. It doesn't matter which component it touches. The team goes and finishes in all components. Components, some architectural unit in your system. But there is another option. You can arrange cross-functional teams around components. If your system is designed of 3 big components, you can say one team is caring about that component, other team is caring about that component. So then when you take a feature item from the backlog, you will need to split it for 3 teams, and they have to implement and integrate it, then together. It might be an option. As I said, Agile is, of course, prefer feature teams, but AdForm started as component teams. how bad is that can be. Vaidas came there and told we need to do Scrum, and they started wrong. Actually, not that wrong. We had good reasons. Developers knew some areas, and it was much easier to organize people around those components. And what we did, I think, good, we still kept them cross-functional. Analyst and tester was part of the team. So if we finish the feature, we know that it's finished, at least from component perspective. Of course, we have lots of issues to consider, and still considering them, how to work around them. How to divide components. It's not clear architecture when you start. I mean, you cannot say, now work on this area. There is always gray zone, and teams start starting. It's our responsibility. No, it's your responsibility. How to run valuable sprint reviews. Sprint review, you want to demo your product. And sprint reviews I had at the beginning, team puts Visual Studio on screen and pushes the button and says, look, all tests pass. Nice, good job. Is it really working? Yeah, it does what tests say it's working. Sure, will it work when we integrate with another component, like when client starts using it from user interface, where there's a backend team? No, maybe. So actually, we had problems. Now we try to encourage teams to show functionality from user perspective. It doesn't matter that you didn't do it at user interface, for example, some area, but you have to show how it worked to make sure you know. And the problem is how to plan features. Of course, it's more troubles there. But my warning here, that you can choose component teams, and it works if you're really, really big. If, as we had more than 50 people. We have such a huge system, literally hundreds of servers and different types of servers, that it's just impossible for 7 people group to understand and kind of have skills in each of these layers. So just because we're too big, we have to split. And if you're less than that, or you're running projects, I doubt that you need that. Although it seems much simpler, and some companies, oh, we just create component teams. This is common architecture, and we just do projects on it. Maybe it's not the best idea. How many teams? I always get the question. Simple. Divide number of people by 7, and you get it. That's your number of teams, more or less. Here again, oh, this is the structure of our initial AdForm organization. Warning. Developers will say, oh, 7 people, that's so much. You know, we have to plan work for 2 weeks for 7 people. That's quite a lot. So they want to have smaller teams. But here my warning is, if you have, for example, we would have teams by 3 people. We would have, what, 16, 17 teams? Then 17 product owners, 17 project managers, Scrum Masters. That's a bit of management overhead. So you have to find this balance. And I think, anyway, this Agile advice, 7 ± 2, really makes sense to have that group of teams. Because then team can really finish a bigger feature and implement it from the beginning to the end. If you have 3 developers plus maybe tester, they cannot do that much. So it's hard to split the feature. So don't always believe developers when they say we can work faster if we work 2. They always say I can work faster if I'm working alone, which usually not the case. Anyone else is doing it, and actually I was talking with another company, and they, after our introduction, they realized that actually they are organized around cities. They have Vilnius, Kaunas, Klaipėdas people who, although it's the same product, client from Kaunas asks for some feature, they implement it and deploy it for the client, but the Vilnius guys maybe don't know about it, yeah, and then they have problems. So after discussing a bit, they thought maybe they should start organizing those around the products instead of features. What's the matter if client from Kaunas or from Vilnius asks a feature? If we're a team, we just prioritize them and in one sprint implement one feature for Kaunas, one feature from Vilnius client, but we are working together as a team. So we know the code, we work together, and we are a team. Even in this case, probably not co-located, which is a problem. Maybe you get less efficiency, but still better results. So in the end, we want to form cross-functional feature teams. As simple as that. I don't know how many more concrete advices I have to give here, but it's basically just take and do it if you believe that teams make better results. The biggest question is, if we have feature teams, how to organize the work? How to run our projects, because now it's a bit different. Yeah, we cannot just pick people. If we need analysts, what to do then? No one is applauding, but I'm drinking water? Am I so bad? I'll try one more time. Good. I hope you know that applauding is one of the best ways to get blood to your brain. So it's not because I want to be famous or I like it. It's just it's for your sake. You're getting your. The next time I'll ask you to stand up. That's the second best way to get your brain working again. Okay, going back to how to organize the work, and it's kind of strange because with Agile everything is so simple. If you have projects, and basically in Agile it says you have to create product backlogs. So if you have projects, it's simple. List all of them, so you're creating a list, yeah, and prioritize them, order them. Now it's another term in English they prefer to use. Basically, this is a list of all your projects, and you order them according to business value, new client, urgency, whatever it's worth for you. So you put them in a list which is ordered. If you have a product, it's a bit different. Probably want to slice it, because the project is like one project is all the product. So you create vertical slices of your product, like features from client perspective. So basically you slice, and then it's the same, prioritize them. So and then you have the backlog. Yeah. So, and the next question is always what tool to use, what software tool to use. And we actually were using a software tool for product backlog. We are using sticky notes for sprint board, but for backlog we were using a tool. And a few months ago we realized it's just stopping us. I mean, developers hate looking at screen from some tool, and then you see 3 developers discussing and 4 of them sitting at the end of the room. So we moved it to the wall. And this is how it looks. This is our kind of priorities from top down. Months are just relative. And then the next day come up, and then you have a nice header on top. Some developer wanted to be creative in the morning. You cannot imagine what developers can do when they're alone. This is one of their creativity stuff. So basically, if anyone wants, follow experiment, as I call it on Twitter, we'll see how it goes. But my basic idea is that tool doesn't matter. It can be Excel sheet, it can be Wall, it can be some electronic tool. Don't get stuck in the tools. It's just a mean to do what you want, to order everything in a way. That would be easy if life would be perfect, and it's not. In this case, I thought I said something clever now. Damn it. In this case, we are having 3 projects, and for example, the first one takes 3 months. How many of your clients can wait 3 months to get started on that project working? Anyone has such good clients? None. Of course, they want to work on your project. And if we go back to them and say, you know, multitasking is bad. We always work only on one project at a time because it's the fastest. They say, really? I'll go to another company. They will do it next month. So that's not how it goes. It works very well if you have small features, small projects, but if you have bigger ones, you have to split them. So what you do, you break them down to minimal marketable features. It's a bit different from each sprint and of each slice, but in each iteration you want to have shippable product. You can release it to the client, but it maybe doesn't bring value for him yet. So it's done but not kind of marketable. While minimal marketable feature says it has to be done and you can release it for the client and he can start getting value. So what I did in this case, I split project 1 to 3, these kind of feature areas, features, minimal marketable features. I finish first one together with 1-2 teams that I have. Release it, give it to the client, go, use it, earn your money if it's helping them to do something. And I go back to project 2 and start this first minimal marketable feature. And then I go back to this project 1, finish second, third, and go back to project 2. Maybe I need to do the same as project 3, maybe I don't. It again goes exactly according to a business priorities. My point is to say that there is a way to split big projects, and you can do few projects at a time. The question is how small you go. If this is your 1-day project, and then it's another day project, I would call it multitasking, because basically you're just working on 2 projects at a time. But if you split to them really minimal marketable features, there's something really valuable for client to give, and 1 team or even 3 teams, for example, in this case, can finish this in a month and then start working on second piece and go back to the first project. And then it's not multitasking. So the multitasking or not multitasking, again, there is no clear definition. In theory, you want always work on one project. How many people you would have? 20 teams all working on one project, finishing it faster, and then going to the second one. In reality, it doesn't happen always. 9 women cannot get a child in 1 month, sadly. Yeah? That was funny. No, wasn't. So all in all, we want to get work given to the teams, not vice versa. In projects, we tend to have a project and get people, teams organized for this project. What we want, if we want to go fast, we need to have stable teams that are performing, they can learn and go very fast together, and then they don't care what kind of projects get there, what kind of slices of features you get to them. You just have these cycles, teams working here and going as fast as you can, and then there is a prioritized list of work, feature slices, projects, according to environment, and they always take from top and implement. And this way they will go the fastest. That's what proven in reality. If you have some areas of projects, maybe you want to have different backlogs, maybe you want to have 3 backlogs, for example, for 3 teams, and that might be good, but you are running to the risk then that if this is not really, for example, these are really top priority ones, while this becomes after a few sprints low priority ones, this team will be doing not that high level, high priority work. So if you don't have one backlog, you are running to risk that looking from company perspective, you will be again sub-optimizing, doing some work which is not that important. Here it's more important. So this team in reality should switch and do something from this backlog. So you have this case, at least your managers, top-level managers should have some roadmap and higher-level prioritization here. So you have another level of prioritization. In best case, company should have one product backlog, and everyone just takes from it. And it's actually possible to do. Anyone else is doing it. Again, talking with another company that is not even building insurance system, is just deploying or kind of adapting for the client needs. They have a system, and they go to insurance client and do that. And of course, insurance system has everything in it. I don't know, you can maybe build even stuff with it. Houses, probably not. There's cars, houses, life insurance. You have customer integration data. You have integration with banks, billing, accounting, whatever, modules. And they say, we finish the feature only when all modules are implemented. I mean, you can insure a car only when it has integration with bank, when you have data of customer, when you do the billing. And we started thinking, really? Our client has mostly cars. They insure mostly cars. So maybe we should split. We could slice our product by cars only. We just want to insure cars for the beginning as first minimal marketable feature. But it needs all integrations and building all the other modules. But maybe we don't need to do them. Currently, there were people sitting and sending bills to clients manually. They were calling bank and doing transactions and then just pasting the reference. Why to change that? Maybe we want just to, for now, maybe for the first slice, we just want to make sure that client can fill specific report for the car. It gets to the company, they do something manually, and it gets back to the client. We have one slice functionality which we can release, and clients can start earning money on it. And we build next ones on top according to priority. So let's see, maybe we'll build a car. But cars, again, there's many modules. Maybe we want to choose one model because all models has different options and different forms, and team cannot finish all insuring car functionality in one sprint. So we split it. We want only Volvo cars to be insured. And if needed, we can go further. Maybe it's Volvo V70 only. We start with that. Maybe 30% of our clients, if we're in Sweden, for example, have this car, so you build that first. And then you make a decision. Now, are we doing integration with bank for some specific type of transaction, or are we going to insure all other types of cars? You have your prioritization there. So you can make really business choices. And not developers who have to do that. It's a business decisions that has to be made. So all in all, what you want to do, you want to give work for the teams, not vice versa. And I think this is kind of the breakthrough idea in thinking, in not to create project teams, or I tend to call them groups of people that work on a project, but have it teams and have a work and just give it for them to do. Damn it. You learn so much in these conferences. I love this. I love this. Every time you can applause. Nice. So the last and probably the most interesting part. Anyone has support in your companies? Okay. What do the others do that didn't raise your hands? Okay, I'll ask one more time. Does your company do any support work which is not planned project work? Of course. Okay, more hands. Good. Second time worked. Good. Alexei was talking about it actually in the last conference, and I reviewed the slides again. You can check them. I have a bit another approach, so I'll put my own point of view on it. Actually, when I talk about support, I mean, usually I have this picture in mind. There is firefighters fighting the fire. You know, sometimes there is a fire, you have to fight it. And then there is another fire. And depending on the number of fires, either you are good or bad, yeah? But there is another picture. The nice forest with some road, or they cut these areas to protect the trees. So even if there is a fire, it still has a protection mechanism. But hopefully we make it the way that the fire don't get there. So I probably asked too early, because out of the hands, I imagine that most of people are here firefighters. No? Yes? Maybe? Let's see. So we need to have a planned work here and a planned work here. Which one is better? Let's see. When you look at fires, there is different things that people call them, from urgent client request to development bugs. So I'll go a bit into the first one, urgent client request, which is the most interesting one. And when I talk about that, I need to start with another TV show. Anyone recognizes this? Raise your hands, who? Whoa, that's powerful. Which season now is in Lithuania? Which season did they show? I download it. Okay, that's what I do. So I get confused when I see it on TV. I already saw it. What does House say about his clients? His clients are patients. They lie. They never tell you the truth, yeah? They lie. And this is what our clients, and it's not because they are bad people, that they're stupid. No, they're very clever people. They have just good reasons to do that. And the same as patients. You want to get your cured, but you still lie for your doctor. That doesn't make sense, but that's how reality is. So if you understand this, then you find a ways to talk with your clients. You know, this is conversation you might have. Client asks you for some feature and you ask, is it urgent? And what answer you'll get? Yes. I never heard an answer, is it urgent? No, just do it whatever you want. Yes, it's urgent. And then you ask, will you use it tomorrow? And then they go, tomorrow, maybe no. Oh, well, we'll use it next week. Probably, maybe. And if we have sprints of 1 week or 2 weeks, then it's not urgent. You can really plan it, put it to the backlog. You can discuss with the client how urgent it is, and then according to your other priorities, put it to a planned work. You don't need to go and fix this now. It's not urgent. He stated it himself, yeah? So it's just a simple planned work. But if you stop with the question 1, of course, you go and fix it. And that's the sales guys probably don't listen to anything else. You know, they usually get the phone call and already calling the development. Do it, what? I'll tell you in a minute. Because there is a client already calling, so he will want something. There might be another story. You can ask, is it urgent? He says, yes. We'll use it tomorrow. And he knows he's clever, he's asking interesting questions. So of course I'll use it tomorrow. And then you can go a bit, technical. We have a measurement system. We know how many clicks is made on this button. Are you sure you'll use it tomorrow if we release it tonight? And in this case, you can catch because sometimes they, again, lie. And they won't use it for a week or so. So it's not urgent again. You can put it as a planned work to your backlog. So you have one less fire. You just plan it nicely, treat next week. There might be another story, which is maybe more common in Lithuania. Is it urgent? Yes, we'll use it tomorrow. I need it yesterday. And I think it's 2 little exclamation marks here. It should be a bit more. Usually you drop your phone down. It doesn't hold in your hand. So yeah, what to do in this? And of course, then you go and do it. If it's your client, if it's an important client, and it's something wrong with this software or it's very urgent request, you fix it. As Mary said, if it's needed to be done and client says it, probably it's needed to be done. The problem again with IT companies, they stop here. So what you always get this feeling, and there is always urgent, always fires. What you should do, you finish implementing, deploy it, and then you go to talk with your client. How we can make our process different that next time we can plan it. Maybe you knew it already 2 weeks in advance, you just made a call for us now. Maybe we can agree on some terms to do that, because doing this is very, very expensive for us doing it now. It's 5 times or more times expensive as a company to do it. And so we charge you a lot. If you just tell it when you know, or at least advise that there might be a project I want you to work it, we can plan it. So if you go through this again, through time, you can get your clients to understand that planning work, keeping your forest safe from fires, is much better process than just firing, just distinguishing the fires. Terrible English word. Oh, sorry. Is there anyone non-English speaking or only? Oh, okay, does anyone doesn't understand Lithuanian? Good. I just thought at the end of presentation that I was stupid talking in English all the time. Thanks, guys. I see it's good that I'm talking in English. So, in the end, we thought that urgent client requests are fires, and we have many of them, but actually, if we talk and start ordering them, we have only a small percentage of it that are real fires. All the rest are just because we were treating clients like this all the time. We're just doing whatever they tell, so we treat them as fires. If you plan, you can get them to this forest state. And maybe I'm lying, but the same was in Lavosoft, the same was in Adform. At the beginning, everything was a fire, and now we have very limit number of fires. And one is what that, in our case, managers always, Skype, and you think you need to start doing it, and it's very urgent. There was one good email said, this is the most important, this was CTO, our writing, me an email. This is the most important idea I came up with. I think Adform can earn a lot on this. And then the description idea explained. When you get that email as a product owner, you think, wow, we can make millions here. We should just jump and do it. It's his incredible idea. But then I called him back and said, so should we start doing it now? What does it mean in your email? I was like, something new came out, just explain it. He said, I just had an idea, so I wanted you guys to start discussing if it's feasible, what does it make, is it really good? So he just phrased it the way that it's urgent, but actually he didn't mean that. He just said, it's good, probably a good idea, let's look at it. And just without asking one why, you would go very wrong with it. Again, production bugs, I won't get detailed into this, but for this, it's exactly the same questions you can ask as a product owner for your team. Because only very few of your production bugs are really critical, breaking the system that you need to fix it now. Most of the bugs get recorded that as a major, minor, and you can plan them as a planned work in next sprint. So you don't need to distinguish the fire now. You can kind of postpone it. I'm not saying you need to leave it forever, because then you have a technical debt that we were talking a bit before. But ordering them helps you to solve the problem. You have less fires again. If you talk about minor features, no. They are just simple items in your product backlog. Never treat some small request, some extension as a fire. It's just adding to the backlog. And the same is development bugs. This is part of sprint work. If developer says we need to fix bugs from what we're doing now, it's wrong. The process says business idea comes into the sprint, at the end is shippable increment. Whatever is needed to be done in between, it's tasks to finish this feature. So if tester found, together working in cross-functional team, found a bug that developer built, it's just the same process and they iterate and finish it. So you don't have something big bug reports. We don't use any tracking system for bugs in sprint because they're sitting together, they can talk, they can use sticky notes, whatever they want, but not record, because just recording is a waste of time. It's just a communication. It's like writing if statement at one time and not finishing it. You're just discussing with the client, or pair programming, it's pair work. So in the end, you have quite little actually support if you just order it. And I went, as I said, through both companies with the same process, and it's how it was. At the beginning, it looks like we just do firefighting. When you start ordering, after a few months, you realize that in reality, you should do only very little firefighting. So, who handles it? And the best, of course, is when the same A team that we have handles it. Why? How? Already mentioned a bit, you usually have a time pillow if you have sprint of whatever, 200 hours. So maybe you say 30% of the time, 30 hours, we just don't plan and leave it for these urgent requests, because that's how statistical amount of requests comes every sprint. Of course, you visualize and measure it, because your goal is to decrease it to 0. You don't want to have pillows in your sprint plan. And if your pillow is more than 50%, probably you're doing something really wrong and Scrum doesn't work for you. Again, some people say 0, that's nonsense. Actually, it is not a nonsense. Now in Adform, we never plan pillows. There is some urgent requests, but usually they are just accidentally small, coming few times or one time a week. You don't plan it. If there is 5 hours to do or 7 hours to do for a team, which does 300 hours per 2 weeks, I mean, it's just variation which you don't need to plan. It just gets in and solved and no problem. Of course, there is exception, something big breaks, but don't plan your process for exception. The other idea would be to have support teams doing this. And someone says it's good, it's a focus. We have a focus team who just fixes bugs. But actually it's quite a bad idea because you have lots of issues. First, team doesn't know all the system. And for them to fix bugs in all the system, that's quite bad. And usually if some interns are doing this, which usually happens, they fixing one bug create 3 more. And it's quite demotivating. But the most important that then our A team doesn't have ownership of the code. They don't care. They don't have this in their 30% pillow in their sprint backlog. And when they fix that time, their goal is to decrease it. So they clearly see how their part of system they are really making decreases. So in this case, you should, actually my advice, of course, the A team should fix it. Your team should fix it. But that might be a different thing. Maybe support is your life. And then, of course, again, are you sure? Or is it just how you were working before? So ask this twice. But some teams do exactly like that. There is a team in some bank that just requests come in and they have to deal with them. But then you're not doing product development. Then you should not use Scrum. So you should use some flow method, as Kanban, for example. So again, don't treat that this is something bad. It's just other tools are made to deal with support work. But then you have to change your mind. You're never building products or projects finishing. You're just doing support work, and that's what's your life about. So all in all, prevent the trees, prevent the fires, save the trees. Don't be firefighters. Greenpeace, yay! Oh, that's a joke. I didn't drink now, so either it was funny or everyone loves nature. So just to summarize in 2 minutes what we talked. First, teams work best when they're permanent teams. Cross-functional feature teams they have to be. Then divide work for the teams, not vice versa, and measure how much fires you have and try to get them out. That's what my message is. Of course, it takes courage. As I said, it's simple to see on the slides when you go back to your company and you'll say your manager, I want to break departments now. You will have a conversation and looks like this. That's why there is external help. That's why we have user groups, and we go to companies to help them to understand, to explain. So use this. And the other last advice is start now. You see, it's 400 IT professionals here, and I bet the next Agile toy it will be much more who are really using it now, and they are getting results. So if you're not doing that, you might get behind. Thank you. Do we have a minute for any question, or what's the time? I think it's 2 minutes. So we can have one question if anyone has one. One question. Yeah. No, there is no project manager. There is teams, and each team has Scrum Master, Product Owner, and the rest. Officially, they have titles like tester and software engineer, but we trying to get rid of those, like broaden them, but now they have. Now what it is, if we had one manager at the beginning, now we have like product manager, middle management, which 3 teams, 18 people, so they have a manager, so they are dealing with all HR stuff and wages and stuff. But it's nothing to do with the process, how we work. That manager doesn't tell how to work, what to do. He just does the HR stuff and management stuff, while work is planned in cross-functional teams. Good question. So thank you.